Welcome back to the Animation Revaluation Podcast. What is up, everyone? I am your host, Lizer, and with me, as always, are Jay and James. What's up, guys?
Hello, hello. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, yo.
Yeah, we're doing it on Friday. It's crazy. Imagine. Imagine sticking to a schedule. Oof. Couldn't be me.
We're here every week. Don't worry about it.
Are we?
For the
We try
most
to be.
part.
For the most part, yeah, we try to be. The real thing is, imagine streaming other than the podcast. Oh, could not be me.
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, fuck you, man.
I've been that.
Hey, Jess, how you doing? How have you guys been? How was your week?
Pretty good actually. I
Progress.
haven't
Nice.
I haven't seen a single letdown yet. So
You don't own any
everything.
mirrors?
No.
I'm sorry.
them all.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Now
that
it's
was
in the recording.
that was like pure instinct too. I didn't even think about that one. It just came out.
Now it's in the recording.
The abuse is real. Holy shit! I'm sorry. Oh no.
Fucking yikes.
Fucking yikes. Oh man. How about you, James? How have you been?
Well, I did eat shit today. It was not fun. I was like at work. I was just like in the cooler, and then
Ooh,
like
Wesker, thank you for the subs.
the lights like went out.
Mhm.
Just because it where I usually work, there's like the motion session doesn't catch it. So like when the lights turn off, it turned like pitch black. So like I ran to the motion so I could see, but I couldn't see the U-belt that I had stuff on, and I like tripped over it and like I hit my shin real hard, and then I just
Oh.
fell forward.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
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 One more thing.
One more thing.
But I mean, apart from that, like, uh, I think I think my boss is like gone for the weekend, so like I pretty much like I have to keep working until he comes back. So like I think I have to. I've been working. Oh, what is this? Today's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So I still have 3 more days left of working, and I've already done 3 since I was last off. So I'm like almost a week of just straight working. So I'm pretty tired. But-
Sorry to hear that, man. That fucking sucks.
and then above all, like my shin, it's
Oh.
like I'm like, oh god,
Just like murder your shin,
I did.
basically.
I did.
Damn.
Yeah, but that was my day.
Well, hopefully this this comfy anime made you feel a little better.
It did.
Yeah. So I guess we can just jump right into it. It's my week, so I'll give a little description. So, picture this: you're high school age dude. You're kind of repressed, kind of keep to yourself most of the time. You don't associate with anyone your age. You have hobbies that no one else is really into. You're walking home from school one day. It's pretty quiet outside. You turn the corner, and that's when you see him, Shia LaBeouf.
Aww.
I think it'd be cool if we actually met Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, I'd
like
love to meet Shia LaBeouf.
like around the corner, Shia LaBeouf. I actually genuinely be like, oh shit, you're Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he's not a cannibal, but yeah.
Is he? I know this is the first I hear of this.
Do you not know actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf?
No.
Oh no. So you didn't get my joke at all.
No.
Oh my god. I have something to show you after the podcast.
Okay.
Well, yeah, for the actual explanation of this anime, we have our main character here, his name is Gojo. Here he is. Gojo is, for the most part, your run-of-the-mill, like, high school-aged dude. He, like I said before, when I was memeing about Shia LaBeouf, he's very to himself, very withdrawn. He is the grandson of, his grandfather's name is Kaoru. Picture of him. There's Grandpa. He's the grandson of Kaoru Gojo, who owns a shop in which he makes Hana dolls. And those are, if you've ever seen Hana or Hina? Hina dolls.
I thought they were
Hina dolls, yeah.
Yeah.
If you ever seen like the little porcelain dolls with the painted on faces that are really fucking creepy, those things. These things. These fucking devil's toys that I hate and I want to smash. My mom used to have these around the house. Not the Japanese ones, but like just porcelain dolls. She used to have them on shelves and I wanted to break them all the time. They mysteriously fell and I was so happy. And I don't mean that like, yeah, I pushed it, you know, mysterious. No, they actually just fell one day. I think it was God. I'm not 100% sure. But I was happy about it. I didn't question it. Because they fucking shattered.
God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
We actually, I actually in my house, I think we have one and then a painting of one.
What?
Just because my uncle's Japanese, so like the whole household's Japanese, so we do have one that looks similar to the one you just sent, and a painting of one.
Bro, you gotta burn the whole house down. I'm sorry. You gotta burn the whole house down. I'm sorry to say it. It's game over.
I don't really pay attention to it.
But the younger of the Gojos, Wakana Gojo is his name. He, since childhood, has been in love with these dolls, and he wants to become a like master craftsman like his grandfather is. He wants to take over the shop that his grandfather owns. So he basically spends his whole day outside of school just painting these dolls, making sure that every little feature is perfect, doing the hair, the makeup. He has like false eyelashes for them. It's just like that's what his life is dedicated to. That's his passion, you know? And he thinks that he's not as good as his grandfather. I don't know how to measure the levels of those type of things. Apparently his grandfather can like fucking look at a doll real quick and tell you exactly who made it, and he can't. So I don't, that's fucking weird, but whatever.
I guess that just kind of comes with experience, to be honest.
Like he said
40,
he can tell,
48
he can tell
48
by,
years
by the eyebrows, by the way the eyebrows are painted. He can tell who made the doll. It's like, dude, what the fuck? I can draw something right now and not tell you that I drew it.
Yeah, that's 48 years of experience for you.
I can't even imagine 48. I mean, I'm not even 48 years old. That's next
You're
year.
getting there.
Yeah, it's next year. 47. So yeah, that's his, you know, daily life. He just does that and that's it. He's happy doing that. You know, he's a little lonely. He sees the other kids in his age group hanging out with their friends and all that. So, you know, he has those longings to, you know, hang out and stuff. But he had a situation where he was younger. A girl was hanging out with him and started saying that, you know, he was weird for that, to not talk to her anymore. And it kind of like scarred him for life, kind of like traumatized him. And now he is very awkward interacting with other people because he feels like if they find out about this hobby, it's pretty much game over for him. His life is done. So he's in class one day and suddenly we get introduced to our female protagonist, Marin Kitagawa. And she has the weirdest fucking introduction I've ever seen in an anime. And I've seen some fucking weird things. But considering that this is not like a supernatural anime or not an action anime or anything like that, the fact that her introduction is that she was somehow pushed 5 feet into the air, shot across the entire classroom, bashed her head on his desk, and got up like,
bro, it was like 15 feet. Like I don't. She had to be like on the desk and jump from like one end to the other. That's how realistic, how high she was. And I'm like, they never even explain how high
Like how
she
she
was.
even got there. Her friend came running like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. That was an accident." Like, what did you do that shot her like 15 feet in the air and across the classroom into
she
the
would
edge
have
of
to
this
keep
dude's
like
desk?
trajectory wise, like because I had to break this down like physics wise. She would have to like actually like have a running start and jump and then do that. So I'm like, I don't understand. It was like a gift from God, is what it was.
It's a gift
Like
from
God, God just like threw her across for some reason. That's the only part that really like got to me. I was like, why? Like, how does that even work?
It's just when she hit her head on the desk. I just thought she just flat out had a concussion.
I thought she was dead,
She-
bro. Because she hits like the edge of the desk with the back of her head, and like I feel like if I'm remembering correctly, there's a slight pause before she gets up.
Yeah.
Like, like, ma'am.
I wouldn't be surprised if she just actually just knocked out. And they just like not even address it. They're like, holy shit.
Yeah, like that's what should have happened. She should have been concussed. She should have been rushed to
Yeah.
the hospital. Instead, she gets up. She sees that he has like a mark on his arm. It's ink, but she thinks it's a cut. She's like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" Blah, blah, blah. She cares, and he's like, "What? What? I'm fine. Like, don't worry about it." And then she like walks away or whatever. And her friend's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "No, I just freaking died." Ha ha ha. And then she continues like just going on with her day. Oh, here's a picture of her flying through the air. It's like, what the fuck? How are you alive?
Did you notice like right before this scene, like it got like unusually dark, where he's just like he'd even wish like he wasn't like never kind of existed, or
Yeah.
if he like, which I was like, it was like it felt like real heavy, and then like this happened,
Yeah,
and
it
that
just
just
became a
like
big
it just threw me, it just threw me after that.
Yeah, so that's like his introduction to her. It kind of continues on that path of him being like, you know, a loner. Like, you know, Japanese schools have the whole cleanup duty thing. So he's tasked with cleanup duty, as are a couple of other students, and they just kind of say like, "Hey, Gojo, I have something to do. Can you take care of this?" And he's just like, "Yeah, I guess. Don't worry about it." But it turns out that Arin also has it. She's a little late though. She had to use the bathroom, so she comes in. She starts fixing the desks and stuff. And he's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Well, I'm on cleanup duty. By the way, where's everyone else?" He's like, "Oh, they had to work." She's like, "Everybody? They all had to work? Like, are you serious, dude? You gotta stand up for yourself. You can't just let them walk all over you." And that's kind of like the first instance of like someone looking out for him. The way I'm describing this, it makes it seem like he's really, really depressed, and he's not. Like he's okay. Like he wishes he had friends, but he's not severely depressed or anything. Don't get that idea.
I think he does feel depressed in a sense where he kind of wishes he has friends, but he kind of feels like he shouldn't, like especially with the girl.
Yeah, he's just more
that made him feel that way.
than like super depressed. Like it's not a really dark anime or anything like that.
Yeah, he felt like it was. He felt like because he liked what he liked, he felt like he was out of place and never actually belonged. So that's kind of like how he felt like he was kind of like out of place compared to like everybody else. So it's
Yeah.
just like I'm just gonna be my own thing, and because if I'm on my own, I won't bother anybody.
So yeah, they do that, and you know he felt this like connection because of that. Like she was nice to me. I guess this is where he kind of started to think like, oh, maybe she could be a friend. She seems very accepting and all that type of stuff. Then I think it was the next day. Was it the next day or was it the same day?
I think it was the next day, or I'm not exactly sure, to be honest.
Where he goes to that room.
Yeah, the it wasn't. I think they said it wasn't like the econ room because I don't think they had an economics.
No,
but
it was the next day because he went home to work on some stuff for the dolls, and his sewing machine broke. He had like a really old school like push with your foot on this giant pedal to start it.
Oh yeah,
And it wasn't working anymore, so he couldn't do what he needed to do. So his school had the home ec room, but they didn't have like a club for it, so nobody was using it. So he goes in, he starts using machine, and Marin actually comes in and sees that he can stitch, and she's like, "Oh my god, you can do that! That's amazing." They both, yeah, here you go. They both like kind of
She's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because he's like, "Oh shit, I got caught. She's gonna think I'm weird," and she's just staring at him like, "What the fuck is he doing?" So he thinks it's over, but she's actually super excited because she doesn't know how to sew. And yeah, he has the moment of the diving for the doll.
I like her face. It's just like, what is he doing?
But she's actually surprised, and she's like, "Oh my god, that's so cool! I don't know how to sew." And to make a long story short, she reveals to him that she is actually really into cosplay, and she actually changes into this costume that she made. I wouldn't even call it a costume. It was just like some cloth she threw together to give like a general idea of what she wanted. Yeah, there you go. And he sees this, and he just like goes into work mode, and he's like, "You shouldn't have used this stitch here. Why didn't you use a machine for this? No bobbin. How come you didn't reinforce the stitches here?" Like basically calling her out on all the shit she did wrong, and like making her feel like an idiot.
Yeah. It's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like, this is a man that's just passionate about his work.
And this is her reaction to getting called out on everything. And he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." But she has this great idea of like, "Hey, maybe you can help me, and like you can help me design the clothes, and by you helping me design these clothes, it'll be practice for you to make clothes for the Hina dolls as well." And he's like, anything that can make him better at that, he's gonna go for. But also the fact that she's accepting of his hobby, and obviously he's accepting of hers, it was like instant connection for them. So she's ready to just be like, we can do it right now. But he's like, "No, it's late. We have stuff to do. We got like homework and whatever. I gotta get home. My grandpa runs a shop. You can come by like next week." And she's like, "Okay, no problem." And then she shows up the next day at his grandfather's shop, and she's like, "I'm gonna go to your room." And she like just barges in and goes upstairs. He's like, "How did you find out where I live?" It's like, "Don't worry about it. I just looked up Hina doll shop and your name."
Two together. Yeah.
It's literally called like Gojo shop or Gojo dolls or something like that. So she's just like, "I just googled your name and Hina dolls and it came up." It's not a big deal, dude. But he's just like panicked. He's like, "Oh my god, there's a girl in my room. What do I do?"
Oh man, when he finds out the origins of the character she wants to cosplay is just amazing.
Yeah, so that was her coming in, and she doesn't reveal the origins yet. At this point, it's more like just taking her measurements and stuff. So you gotta take her measurements, and you gotta take it for a dress to fit her proportions correctly. So obviously, you need very close measurements. Now, how can you get very close measurements if she's wearing, like a baggy shirt and some jeans? The answer is you don't. You take your fucking clothes off. So she strips down into a swimsuit, which I don't know how that's any better than bra and panties. I've never understood how it's any different. The only thing is this is made for water. Okay. I don't know. All right. It's still just fucking bra and panties. It's just waterproof. Ladies, can you explain?
I think it's actually more efficient that they're waterproof. I mean, like, actual underwear isn't waterproof, so isn't it better that they are waterproof? I mean,
no, but it's practically the same. So, so underwear, right, and a bra is practically the same thing as a bikini.
If anything, I think underwear that I've seen girls wear
have more coverage
than swimsuits I've seen girls wear.
Crazy.
It's like, what? How are you embarrassed to be seen in your underwear but not in the swimsuit?
The same thing. I guess there's just a little more confidence going. I don't know.
It's just like, it's just, I guess, instilled in the brains of like, underwear bad, underwear only for loved ones to see, swimsuit for world.
Swimsuit fine. Swimsuit fine.
So yeah, she strips down to her swimsuit, and he's just like, what the fuck? Like, I can see everything. I've been awakened. Like, all his neurons get activated. And he has to start measuring her. So it's like, he has to measure her shoulder length. So it's like, I can't, the booba. Turn around, please. So she turns around. He's like, oh, the butt. I see cheeks. So he has to like force himself to focus. And it's just like, every time he's able to get past one obstacle, there's another obstacle that happens. Like, sees like a boob jiggle or something. He's like,
This is very good.
oh yeah, here you go. She asks to measure her feet, and she's just like, pushes her crotch into his face and puts her feet up. It's like there you go for the foot fetishists. There you are. Remember, she's like 16. Remember that, guys. So what was it? He gets through everything. He's like panting and blushing and everything. And
Sir Inseam at the end.
yeah, well, first
NC.
he's like, she says that he has to measure like what is it, like the peak, the boob peak, which is basically the distance between her nipples. He's like, I can't. There's no way I can do that without like actually seeing the nipples, and I can't. You can't make me do that right now. I can't do it.
Yeah, I
So
forgot
she-
the actual
yeah.
word. Yeah.
So she measures it, and tells him the number, and that's almost as bad.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, now it's time for, what was it, the inseam,
Yeah, it was the inseam at the end.
which is like the inner thigh area. So he doesn't think anything of it. He's like, all right, well, we got past the worst of it. I'm gonna measure this. So he measures. He puts his measuring tape up, and he taps the cooch by accident. Doesn't realize it because he's just lost in what he's doing. She is just blushing like crazy, but she doesn't say what happened. She doesn't say what's bothering her.
Looked like he was actually like a foot or two away. So like it didn't actually to me look like he touched it, but at the same time, like that's the only likely situation that like for unless she like blushed just cause he was like down there or something. But I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe
that
they
makes
made
more
it a
sense.
little like more like you gotta guess about it in the anime. I could tell you for sure in the manga, he like his finger almost like went in. Yeah, that's how much it is.
Like, this one just made it seem like a simple tap.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like fucking,
But
like
the,
almost
the
opposite of
difference
palming.
between the difference between like normal Gojo and focused Gojo.
Yeah, his voice gets deeper and he's just focused.
It's
He goes from like,
so
oh my
good.
god, I don't know if I could. Okay, let's do this. It's like, all right, dude.
I was
hold
like, we switching octaves.
But yeah, they get all the measurements and everything, and he's like, hey, I don't know anything about this character. Can you like describe her to me or anything? Like, how is this gonna go? And she actually ends up lending him the source material for the character that she is going to be playing.
Yeah.
And what it is, it's called, what was it, like Slippery Girls? It's a super long name, but they just shorten it to Slippery Girls.
Super Girls 2.
Yeah, Slippery Girls 2 Maidens of like Punishment Academy or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is like a BDSM like eroge, adult entertainment game that she shouldn't even have access to as like a 16-year-old. She's like, yeah, don't worry about that. I have my ways. He doesn't really think too much of it. I mean, at first he's like, well, we shouldn't have that. But being that it's work and he's dedicated to what he's doing right now, he's not looking at it in a sexual way. He's looking at it purely to like design the cosplay. So he's actually playing this game, and you hear like the girls moaning and like all this really bad stuff. And his grandfather comes to check on him and sees him in the dark, alone in his room, crouched down in front of his PC with girls moaning like, "Oh, do it harder, senpai," and stuff like that. And he's just like, "Oh, hey, grandpa, I cooked. The food's downstairs. Like, all right, have a good night." And his grandfather's like, "Huh? What?"
Like-
I mean, I guess he's at
like-
that age.
And he's like taking notes. And
Yeah, it's like, he's that dedicated. He's taking notes. And he even says, he's like, "Oh, so that's what it looks like from the back." And I'm just like, no, don't say it like that. There's no context. You can't just do that to your grandfather. It's so bad the way he said it.
I know.
But again, he's not looking at it from a sexual standpoint. He's looking at it purely from design. So he's actually able to really sketch out this whole design of this character that she wants to play. What is it? Shizuka? Shizuku?
Shizuku time. I don't know what it is with the. I don't understand like the. What is it? Formality? Not formality. Is it formality? Whatever. Like it's a whole language thing I don't understand. But I think it's Shizuku.
He's able to like sketch it all out and put like very fine details about like, hey, like
detail.
Yeah, so like even something that like Marin, who's a big fan of this character, doesn't notice. So like they go out shopping for supplies and she's like, oh yeah, I found this black wig. He's like, black? No. Her color scheme has purple. So you would want like this shade of purple because when the light hits it, it'll look the way it does in game and blah blah blah. She's like, oh, I didn't think about that. And like,
Yeah. It wasn't until like I watched Blue Period where I was just like, damn, like colors are actually important. Like he started putting more into focus on all the different colors, and I like, oh, these are like all black, but this is like a purple black, and it actually worked better for what is going on, and it goes into detail why this color would be better than this color, and I'm like, damn.
It all makes sense. My God.
like even like with the fabric, when he started breaking down like the fabric, and because I think he did the fabric for the dress and then they went to the wigs, I believe.
Yeah, because she chose like a really shiny fabric, and he actually said to her like, well, she's supposed to be going to this high class academy, so the shinier fabrics are actually cheaper because they're so thin. So you would expect someone that's supposed to be like of a higher, you know, authority or whatever you want to say, what it's a higher status, yeah, to use a more expensive fabric, and the thicker fabrics are more expensive. So they look a little duller in color, but they're actually better quality. She's like, oh my God, you're so right. So they end up making the costume out of like this thick black fabric.
Yeah.
And they get all these designs done, all these little bits and pieces. I think the only thing they really didn't make for the cosplay was the collar and the shoes. I think they bought the shoes and then just like added stuff to them.
Yeah,
and the collar he didn't know how to make.
Yeah, because making shoes, it's like its own thing. So it's just more they can buy shoes but make cloth and whatever around it.
Yeah. And then it came time to like get the like stockings and garter belts. So she ends up pulling him into like this Victoria's Secret-esque store, and it's just like, he's like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. She's like, well, I dragged you along, I used up your day, so think of this as your reward. And she like comes out and she has like a garter belt on, and he's like blushing and everything. She's like, oh, since it's your reward, do you want me to put on something sexier? And I'm like, this guy just lost. He's done. Like, he's just done. He's gonna nut.
Nut.
And he does. He has a wet dream.
The fact that like, because he has his Hina doll that he always like looks at and like talks to every morning, he's like, you gotta turn away. Yeah. You can't look at this.
I'm so sorry.
He's like, turn away just this once.
So yeah, they end up buying like some stockings that she's supposed to wear. So he comes home, and his grandfather, the last time his grandfather like really saw him was with the whole porn game thing. And now he sees that he came home from shopping. It's like, oh, what did you get? One of the bags fall over and stockings come out, and they're like fishnet type stockings. And his grandfather's just like, oh. So like, I can only imagine what's going through this old man's head. And he's so shocked that he actually like goes backwards, trips, and falls, and they actually have to go to the hospital. It seems like he's okay, but I don't know if it's like the aunt and uncle send their daughter to come collect the grandfather. He's supposed to spend the night, and then it turns out that he's gonna like spend the week or something like that. It's some family member.
Yeah, I couldn't tell what family member.
It's definitely not.
They didn't really.
Yeah, it's definitely not Gojo's parents. I think they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah, he said so himself that they were gone. They
Yeah.
didn't really specify, but he did say they were gone. So I assume it's like his uncle, like probably like uncles, like like probably like the grandpa's like nephews or maybe something,
Yeah.
uncle or some aunt or something.
The grandfather requests like, "Hey, can you bring me my brushes?" Which causes Gojo to have like this flashback to a conversation his grandfather had with him when he was a kid, and he's watching his grandfather practice his painting and his brush skills. He's like, "Wow, you're still practicing, after all this time." And his grandfather says something along the lines of like, "If I miss one day, then I have to make up for it with 3 more days. So you have to always practice to keep yourself like on your A game, basically." And he looks and he sees that he's been doing all this work and he's nowhere near as good as his grandfather, and yet he's neglecting doing that work because he's doing what he's doing now with the cosplay. And he has these feelings of guilt and like, should I continue doing what I'm doing? I'm enjoying both of these things. What should I do? It's almost like a crossroads type of thing that happens. But he's made this commitment to Mari and he doesn't want to let her down. So he continues. And it ends up being that, she needs this costume done in like, what, a week or 2 weeks? And he has tests coming up that he has to study for. People want to come visit the shop while his grandfather's out. He's trying to practice his Hina doll skills at the same time, and he's just very overwhelmed and he's overworking himself to the point where he starts to feel like feverish and sick. But even then, he still like forces himself to finish the costume, in which she's super happy about. She loves the way it came out, and he's like, "Yeah, so you can go to your event today." And she's like, "My event today? You thought I wanted to go to the event today? I didn't have any plans for that. I thought it was going to take you way longer." And that's when he realizes he didn't need to rush. He had a lot of time, but there was a miscommunication between them, and he sacrificed all this time and like his own health to do this for her, and it didn't even need to be done right now. He like imposed his own deadline by accident, basically. And she felt super guilty because she knew about his grandfather like getting hurt, so she thought that he was unavailable all this time because of that. And it turns out that he was actually like doing this for her, and she just breaks down and starts crying, apologizing and everything. But he's just kind of relieved because he feels like there's still imperfections with the costume, so he wants to fix those little things, being that he has time now. And she's just there crying. But then they end up going to the event. I don't know if it was the same one or a different one.
It was the same. It's the one that she planned to go, but she didn't really like expect to go. She just said that there was one, but like she mentioned that she was just gonna go to whatever next one whenever he was gonna done. It's not like she was like actually like pressuring him to go.
Yeah.
It was just more like, it's like, yeah, there's this one coming up, but I mean, like, she didn't like, there wasn't really proper communication between the both of them.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, he was just gonna go whenever, like, and then I think she brings it up that there's not a lot of cosplay meetups, or I don't, or that there is quite a bit.
She says there are a lot.
Okay.
But yeah, they end up going. She's able to take a bunch of pictures with people and generally have a good time. And he kind of starts like moping because he's like, well, now that we're done with this, she doesn't need me anymore. So this is probably the last time I'm going to see her. We have this moment where she comes running to him and she's just like smiling and everything. She's like, "Oh, Gojo. Oh my God. I think my clothes are going to come off." He's like, "Excuse me?" "Ma'am?" And turns out that she's like getting super hot and she wanted to like lift her boobs a little bit, so she put like this special bra on, but he didn't measure for that. So it like was, the costume was too tight and it was starting to like pop on her. So they had to go fix that. So they go to like this stairwell on the side where no one is, and she's able to, loosen the booba put like a cooling patch on her head, and they're just talking for a while, and he's like wiping the sweat from her back. And then we have the scene that like all the animation budget went to for this episode.
Oh yeah.
Where she's
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I'm sweating a lot, oh my god, look at this. And she moves like the tie that she's wearing, and the booba just starts jiggling like crazy. Like super crazy physics.
Like,
and there's just like a puddle of sweat in like the cleavage. And like, what are they doing? I was like, what studio is this? I need to donate money to them.
I think it was like A1 with Cloverworks, I believe. If I briefly remember skimming through it when I was looking at the intro when they said it, I believe it's an A1 and Cloverworks. I never forgot. I never didn't get a chance like what other works they've done similar. But I think those were the two studios.
Yeah, that happens, and she's able to clean up her sweat and all that, and she tells him like, oh, okay, well, this has been really fun. I think I'm about ready to go now. There's one more thing I want to do, but we should start thinking about what we're gonna do for next time. He's like, next time, excuse me? She's like, yeah, you didn't think there was gonna be like a one-off, right? Like, I have like 50 favorite characters. He's like, what's the point of having favorites if you have 50 of them? So he has like kind of a relief because it wasn't a one-time thing. He knows he's gonna be able to go with her more. She has another stop she wants to do. It was like someone that she promised to do pictures with, but she was too hot, so she left before, and then she came back to do it with them. The person is taking pictures. Wind blows, lifts her skirt up. She's wearing shorts under, but she has tally marks on her thighs, from that apparently the character uses in the game. That hasn't been explained within the 5 episodes why those exist. It gets explained in the manga. I don't want to say it. I don't know if the anime says it. Keep watching to find out. And then
I quickly looked it up. Sorry, didn't interrupt. So the A1 pictures are the ones that like, just to name a few, Your Lie in April, Erased, and Black Butler, Darling in the Franxx, while Cloverworks are more like for Persona 5, Darling in the Franxx, and Fairy Tale. And I don't think it's out yet, but Spy X Family, they'll also be the ones in charge of that as well.
I'm excited for that one. I read the manga for that one. But yeah, they have their cosplay outing. She's able to take her pictures. She's super hype. She creates basically an Instagram account for her cosplay stuff and uploads the pictures, which is something important for later episodes in the series. In fact, it'll probably even be in episode 6. I don't know, because I was watching the dub and it only went to 5 episodes.
Oh, does the dub only go to 5?
Yeah,
For now.
Only 5 are out right now.
Oh wow. Yeah, I watched the whole thing sub.
But yeah, then there are, she changes, they get on the train. He's like kind of falling asleep, and she's talking about how happy she was and everything, and everyone was so beautiful there, all the cosplayers. And he looks at her and he sees her, normally, and then he sees a flash of her in her cosplay, and he's like just falling asleep, and he says something along the lines of like, you were the most beautiful one there today. And then he just conks out, and she like tenses up, freezes, and remembers something that he says, which is along the lines of he only calls things that he truly loves and he's truly passionate about beautiful, and he just called her the most beautiful. So she like looks at him and like in realization she's blushing, and that's literally the last shot of the episode 5 is just like her blushing, and then it just like goes to credits, and you're like, no.
Yeah, like pretty much he says that he doesn't use the word pretty and beautiful often. He doesn't like throw it out of nowhere unless it's like from the bottom of his heart.
Yeah.
Like that's actually what he means. Like,
yeah. And that does
but
it
he was
for
kind
the,
of out
for
of
the
it,
5
though.
episodes.
Yeah.
That's my dress up darling, the first 5. So usually this is where I'd be like, oh, what did you guys think? But I want to get through some stuff first. Like I said, I read this. I've been reading this since it came out. I've kind of fallen off a little bit just due to me doing stuff like this. I don't really have time to read it right now. So I'm a little behind, not too much. But ever since chapter 1 of this manga, I've loved this series. And I've been wanting to do this for a while. So when they announced it, I wanted to do it. And then when I heard the English voice casting was Amelie, I was like, I have to wait for that. I need that to be out. And I was so hype. And then I started hearing like little clips. Like I'd be watching a meme video on YouTube and it would have a clip of her English voice. And I was like, no. It's like, I gotta wait. And for anyone who doesn't know Amelie, I think I explained this last time too. Amelie started on YouTube doing like English covers of anime songs. And usually you can find English covers, but it's always like direct translation, so it doesn't make sense a lot of the times because the formation of sentences are weird when you translate them. She actually takes time to make it make sense and still fit the theme of the song and everything, which kind of like put her ahead of everyone else. Plus her voice is amazing. Her singing voice is fucking amazing. I definitely go check her out just for that alone. But you know, as time went on, she became popular. She actually got into voice acting, because she's literally here voice acting a girl. And more recently, she became a VTuber, which obviously I have an interest in for obvious reasons. She's Monarch, and I think she's actually streaming right now, or just finished streaming. So like seeing all these talents that she has culminating, I've been a fan of her for a very long time. So I was super hyped to support her in any way possible. And I was just happy to see this come out. Like I said, I've been following this for a long time, and to see it finally be animated is like a dream come true, because it is such a comfort series for me. There's various reasons why I like this, and that actually is going to lead me into something you said, James. You said that you like to kind of psychoanalyze why we choose the shows that we do when it's like me and Jay. Why do you think I chose this show?
Well, first of all, there are many reasons. Some obvious more than others. But like at least when I try to I don't know, it's just I'm still getting to know Jay, and there's still a lot I still have to get to know about you. So I'm like, okay, like what can I learn about you from your choices of anime? So like I'll be like, okay, well, like I know like to me this one stood out a lot for you, for you, I guess, a little bit more insight about you for me. And then for Jay, for some the one that stuck for me is when he did the the Shield Hero one.
Okay, but why specifically do you think I chose this anime? Since you like to psychoanalyze.
It was kind of hard to describe. I remember I was bringing it up to you, and I didn't know how to put the words. Because I mean that's a lot where it's just kind of like, it's just when you think of like a situation or like a thing that happens, it's just like, oh, like I think this person will like it. I just not really much more than that. I couldn't really specify, at least right now. I was just like, oh, like this is like something that like so and so would like, and
Okay.
that's what like I kind of meant. But I didn't like psychoanalyze it more than that. At least,
I was hoping
like,
for
if
some like deep, in-depth answer.
I wanted to, but like even then, like I think before we started the podcast, because I mentioned it before, but like I didn't really like have time to come up with like a deep one, like, and then or how comfortable you are to kind of reveal more about yourself about that. So like I don't know.
All right, so then let's just go into reviews then. What did you think of it, James? What's your thoughts? What's your initial thought versus your end thought and your rating?
My first thought was real rough. At first I really thought Mario was very kind of superficial in
Mm-hmm.
a sense. It's just kind of like
Which I think is kind
she
of the
didn't.
point.
Yeah, it's just like for some reason I thought she was also wearing a wig, and then she wore like fake eye contacts, and like I don't know, like I didn't really like her at first,
Mm-hmm.
because like I didn't really understand, but I think I just kind of came to the conclusion she just kind of liked dressing up that way, so I'm like okay, whatever. And then like they started like opening up more about like her, that she's just like very accepting to like everybody, and but like like protective to like the way that people are.
Mm-hmm.
um so like if like I suppose like somebody like likes something, and somebody else like disses on it and whatever, like she's willing to like protect those people. It's like, who are you to say otherwise about it, you know?
Yeah, she's
So
kind
it's
of
just
like a well-mannered gal.
yeah. So I was just like, okay, well that's actually something I could get behind.
Mm.
So that's when I started getting like liking about her, but like the main focus was just more about Gojo. And like to me, like Gojo was like pretty was like I feel like he just put himself down in a corner, especially like as from like that one girl that said whatever she said to him about like him like playing with dolls or whatever. So like that kind of stuck and traumatized him. But um, I think a lot of it just got into his head. So it's just like bro, like I I was just like, it's like you shouldn't let like something like that get to you. It's just like he couldn't see it himself, but like it wasn't. Yeah, it's just emotional damage to him, and I do understand that like everybody has like their emotional damage, and they take things the way they are sometimes. But like from an outside source, like looking at it, it's just like as like you see like how much talent he has, how much dedication he has to his like work, and he still doesn't feel like he is not good enough. But then again, that's like a mentality that you kind of need to have in anything you want to get better at. It's like you always never want to be at the max level.
Mm.
Because if you're at the max level, then what's the point of just keep going? You always want to keep improving on yourself. Even kind of like with the grandpa was like how he was. Like he's still doing it after 48 years and still does it like every single day. It's like if you really like and enjoy something, then you put time into it and you don't put it down. Don't stop doing it for like a year or like months. You do it every day because like or else like you kind of lose touch with it, you know. So if it's something you love, you don't want to lose touch in it, you know.
Mm.
So at least as far as that, like that's kind of like my big take. But like as I found when it got to the first 5 episodes, it was kind of rough, at least for me, because like a lot of it was just kind of like just like setting everything up. And then like for me, it didn't really start getting going until like near the end of episode 5, when they
Okay.
started getting more into like a little bit more about like I guess more about marrying, and like a little bit more because a lot of the main focus point was Gojo and like how he was, and she was just kind of like the support character. But like I always thought like since she's kind of like blown up in the main picture, and like kind of like the eye catching like main focus, she should have her own kind of like her role of herself apart from like just being like a supporting character. She needed to be stand out a little bit more. So you kind of see it after the 5, but like before the 5, it like you don't really catch it until like right at the end, like we were saying about like when he calls her beautiful and all that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I had to give a rating based on the 5, I give it like a 7.
Okay. Jay?
Alrighty. So this actually starts back maybe like months ago, because I found I believe it was a manga page, actually. And I think I sent it to you and you immediately like knew what it was. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I ended up finding the manga. Didn't read it. I still have it on my list to do. But with the very little that I know, or that I knew before this, I knew about the cosplay stuff, and I knew like even how beautiful the manga was itself, even though I've only seen maybe 4 or 5 pages. Seeing at first glance, I was like, this is something I could watch. I can definitely see myself watching this. Like even without like the need of the podcast. But it just so happened that it kind of checked itself off the list.
That was forced.
And I enjoyed the first 5 episodes. I really did, from start to finish. It wasn't even like, like being like down bad on me. Like, this is just like slice of life stuff, and this is just really nice. Gojo being, the person that he is, the self-deprecation,
It's
not
relatable.
necessarily. It's very relatable. It's very relatable. And it's just kind of finding that one thing, that you're good at and kind of working at it. And then also kind of him meeting that one person that's just enthralled by what he's great at. His handiwork, his sewing skills, basically artistic value at this point. This kid's like a fucking, I wouldn't, he's masterful.
Mhm.
And God, he puts in the finest of work. He's very efficient with what he does. Very
Very
knows a
dedicated.
lot. Very knowledgeable,
Didn't he
dedicated.
do like dedicated? I'm sorry, I just said dedicated again. I meant like he he puts very detailed. Because I think like he
Very-
does like a mock up of like how like the dress should be, and like down to like every measurement and detail. I think there's like he does like a layout of like the dress, and
Yeah.
it's like so detailed.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned before.
Yeah, I
That so good.
yeah.
So fucking good. This anime does a really good job of showing, like, it pays attention to detail.
Oh, definitely. And not just in a fan
Without a
service
doubt.
way.
No, not at all. Like, the whole thing is pretty.
Yeah.
Like, animation-wise, pretty. Oh my god. This is a 9 for me.
All
Absolutely.
right. All right.
I think Gojo definitely has a lot to work on when it comes to himself, but with the push in the right direction, he'll be just fine. I do look forward to finishing this as well.
Yeah, I think as far as like you were saying, Jay, about the animation itself and the attention to detail is like that'd be for me a different rating, because I mean as a whole I rated it as a 7, but like if I was gonna break it down, the animation would definitely be a lot higher on the scale.
As for me, I'm pretty sure everyone knows that I'm gonna give it a pretty high score, just based on what I've said so far. Like, I've spent years with this series already.
I rated a 1. Years just to hate it, just for this one.
Oh, like I've spent years reading it, always wishing that it got an anime. I'm hoping it doesn't go the course of like Horimiya, where it's like, oh, finally the anime came out and it's super good, and then it's just gonna end on like a shitty ending. You know, I hope it doesn't do that. I'm hoping for nothing but the best with this anime. It's like I said before, it's a comfort anime for me. A lot of slice of life type anime are comfort anime to me because, you know, it's a nice getaway from things happening or things that have happened in real life that you just don't want to deal with. You know, everyone has their outlets that they like to use. I like to watch anime. I like to write. Some people smoke. You know, some people will do other things. Somebody might kill someone. Who knows? This is just one that I can watch all day, not get bored. I can read it all day, not get bored. Even reread it, rewatch. It's fine. Even knowing exactly what was going to happen episode to episode, I was still waiting for more. And it just made me happy. Like I wasn't bored at all. I nothing felt off. Nothing was below what I expected. In fact, it was more than I expected in some cases, especially like we mentioned the animation, the attention to detail, all very, very good stuff. So for me, I'd probably also give it a 9. Not a perfect 10, because although this is a very good series and, like I said, comforting to me, it doesn't get, at least right now, like overly emotional in a way that like strikes a chord with me.
Yeah, just because I'm starting more to learn. So is this more like your rating kind of reflects to you how relatable it is to you? So that like you rated Blue Period a 10, and then this is you picked this one, but you rated a 9.
Yeah,
So
I mean
like
that's gonna have a
yeah.
big thing to do with it.
Yeah.
So like you were saying, you're not sure how much I'm willing to share on things like that. So like when it came to Blue Period, I had mentioned that, like, you know, it was nice to see a path that was kind of related to what happened with me in real life, except they went the other way. The main character of that show chose their passion, even if they weren't sure that they'd be able to make a living off of it. Meanwhile, I abandoned my passion in real life to, you know, just work a regular job and be able to support myself.
Just like as a side note, just a little off topic. Yeah, that was like a main reason, kind of like I picked that one because it's kind of like how you were saying, just stemming off that, where it's just a lot of people have that encounter that same crossroad, where it's just kind of like, especially like in high school or getting out of high school, where they just kind of have to make that decision: do I follow my passion, or do I pick something more stable? And if I do have a passion, what is that passion? Because I mean, even some people, they still don't know their passion,
Yeah, definitely.
or sometimes like halfway they figure out, or they got lost. It's like, am I still passionate about this?
Yeah.
And then some people keep going even though they're not passionate about it more. It's just all they know. uh,
Yeah,
so
definitely.
so I thought that one was like very, very relatable. So like to me, whenever I pick whatever is like relatable to me, but if it can be relatable to like most people, then I was like, okay, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so there's always going to be different things that you're going to, you know, base your rating on. Well, for me at least. It's not always going to be like, you know, for doing an action anime, I'm going to base it on like how well were the action scenes, how much action is in this action anime. This is obviously a slice of life anime, so I'm going to base it on how well the characters mesh together, their personalities, how well it's written, any relatability, like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I generally try to do that for pretty much everything we do, like put myself in the character's shoes and like how I would react. Obviously, sometimes you can't do that for your shows, especially like watch something like fucking Dragon Ball Z. I'm not gonna put myself in Goku's shoes. Like, how would I shoot that Kamehameha? You know?
I was like, like, how would I react if Valerian was like in a bathing suit in my room, laying on my bed?
Yeah.
You'd be like Gojo, like, oh.
But at the same time, that can also have, you know, a negative effect when I do these type of things. That's why I'm avoiding like Your Lie in April at all costs, because that is going to be way too relatable to me, and
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't even be able to do that episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I rate it. So for me, 9 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoy it. I recommend it. And I'm actually going to do something I haven't done in a while. I've only done this once before on this podcast, and I'm actually also going to give a recommendation for a manga for us to, not for us to read, but for anybody watching to read. I did this once before, and I just I don't even remember, to be honest. It was an early episode. Yeah, this is, I'm not sure if anyone here has heard of it. But it's a pretty good story. It's called My Dress Up Darling. It's really good, and I think if you enjoyed the anime we watched today, you might enjoy this manga. So check it out.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
What?
It's the anime that we're watching. This is the actual where it stemmed off from.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh.
But yeah, anything else anyone wants to add about this?
No, I think we covered it, I believe.
All right, so are we ready to get into what we'll be watching next week?
I believe so.
All right, you have the floor, my friend.
Alrighty. So, how do you guys feel about?
Why do we do this now? Why is it always, how do you guys feel about?
I don't know. This is how I like gauging. How do you guys ever heard of League of Legends?
God damn it! God fucking damn it!
Yeah. Pretty
Well,
popular.
Good, because this has nothing to do with the fucking game. However, they made a show.
I wasn't familiar with an anime that was. Oh, actually, they do have a League of Legends show. Now that I think about it, on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yep. And for what we are watching for this upcoming week is a little something I'd like to call Arcane.
Wow. I have heard about it.
Oh, the misery.
And due to this show, I've been listening to a certain song on repeat for fucking months now. I have to listen to it at least once a day. So
Are these
let's just say,
episodes standard length, or are they like 45-minute episodes?
they're about 40. They're about 40 minutes.
Okay, just so I know what's in store for me.
Yeah, they're 40 minutes long. There are 9 of them. I won't require you to watch all 9, but I believe I would like to at least cut it off at the first 5, if not, first 4.
Hmm.
'Cause they came out in 3 installments of 3.
Oh, okay.
So I think probably 5 is like the best cutoff point, if I remember properly.
All right. Well, hopefully you guys will be along for the ride to watch this, because as we mentioned last week, we have a watch party on this server. So check the description of this video if you're watching the VOD. You can check Twitter for a link to join the Discord, and you can watch along with us. We'll make announcements when we're going to be doing it. And it's not just to watch along for anime that we're watching for the podcast. Sometimes we'll, load up YouTube, look at shit posts if we're bored. And pretty much any of us can do it at any time. There'll be an announcement, and you can just hop in and just have some fun.
Yeah. Alright, you can find me at the JB_23 on Instagram and or Twitter.
And I'll put him in the timeout for advertising himself. Not a week's gonna go by. Oh, he actually brought himself back. Wow.
I did.
I think that's a first.
The first time that happened, I did, and then I immediately went back to the timeout. So I thought it was just I was just locked out.
All right. Well, if that's it, I wish everyone a good week, and I hope you enjoyed.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.